What up? What up?
Tyler, what makes you most proud about your nomination this year for Walter Payton Man of the Year?
Well, I would say that I got a chance to be able to be a part of it last year and met a lot of the great guys. We were able to do a bunch of stuff in the community. And, man, it was just pretty cool just to be able to see the kids' faces, kids talking to us about football and all of that. And I think the biggest thing for me just being nominated is it always balances out everything that the NFL stands for. You know, in football, we talk about how much of a business it is, and it makes you somewhat have to be selfish sometimes because you got to look out for yourself. And sometimes about the NFL, it doesn't matter how great of a teammate you are, because if you're not producing, you know, you're out of the game. And being able to be selected, you start to take a step back and you start to remember the bigger picture, how a lot of this stuff in football is just to be able to get you a head start in life. And when you get that head start, you got a chance and opportunity to be able to give other people head starts. It doesn't always have to be with money, but it could be with time. It could be with just commitment. It could be with being a mentor. It could be with just listening. It's mostly whatever people need in order to kind of help push them through. And so there's different things that we do within our foundation. But I will say that I love that I have family, that really helped me out a lot just with doing that, because I like giving back, but I don't like people knowing that I give back, because it's like I'd rather just do it and not get the pat on the back or not have people tell me like, hey, we really appreciated it. I'd rather my family get that than for me to be able to get it, because I just don't want my giving to be all about me.
Among teams that like talk trash, where do the Rams rank among the chippiest? Or
Probably number one. Yeah, Rams probably number one. I don't know, man. It was a bunch of talking, but I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, you gotta learn how to play in every situation. And so when people are talking, you gotta be able to learn how to play when you're talking, and you gotta be able to continue to stay level head and continue to know your limits when it comes to how much can you talk and still be able to help your team out, or are you going to hurt your team by being able to lose your head and stuff? And so I think we did a really good job just being able to keep our composure, remembering the bigger picture, and, we were able to get out a win out of that.
what is it about them that gets you guys more?
Ever since I got here, it's just been Seahawks versus Rams. I don't understand and I don't get it. I mean, but it's a rivalry, I guess. It's one of those divisional games, but, to me, it's the same as when you play the Cardinals. It's the same as when you play the 49ers. Like, when you get into a divisional game, it's going to be physical at all aspects.
I know you say you don't like bringing attention to the things you do, but obviously being nominated kind of puts a highlight on it. Is there one or two things you've done in the last year or two that you would really feel proud of that you did?
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say, well, one of the things I didn't really know if it would count or not, but, the Seahawks had posted about kind of like the Black Wall Street documentary that we did, where we ended up winning an Emmy. And I think when I look back on it, it's like it was such a great opportunity to be able to shed light on it, because growing up, people never really talked about it. And, back in the day, if people said anything about it, they would probably get killed. And so for me to be able to be in this position and to be able to team up with people, within the NFL, to be able to do something like that, I felt like it was really, really cool. And I felt like I was able to play a part in trying to be able to get everybody to know about it and stuff like that. Like, winning an Emmy is cool, but, there's still so much stuff that needs to be done, to where it's like I'd rather that stuff be taken care of and people get their reparations back, rather than, being able to win an Emmy for something where work is still, needing to be done. I would say the other thing that we just did that I thought was really, really cool, and I actually learned this from Bobby. I was talking with Mo Kelly and Mario, and we were just trying to figure out, like, what can we do to be able to help kids in school? And sometimes it's hard to think about it, but, and I don't know, hopefully BYS didn't get mad, but I reached out to him and asked him, because I heard some of the stuff that he did, and so it was really cool, and we ended up kind of splitting it, but we kind of like paid some delinquencies for free lunch and stuff like that. And so that was something that I learned from him. And just going back to talk about Bobby, like, Bobby's like a big brother, and I mean, he's really an all-around dude. Like I really look up to him and stuff like that. And it was just really cool to see what he does. I know he does a lot of stuff in his free time, giving back that a lot of people don't even know about. But when I kind of learned about that and he was kind of able to walk me through and put me in touch with the people who helped him with that, it was really cool to be able to do that out here in Seattle.
That was from Seattle High School kid? Or?
Yeah, it was in the Renton district. So we just did that like a couple weeks ago, and it was just really cool the fact that, he talked to me about it and he was willing to even help out with it.
So you just went to the Renton School District and did it?
No, we called.
But I mean, you approached them and got it?
Yeah.
What's the greatest satisfaction you get out of what you do off the field?
What's the greatest satisfaction? I think, it's hard to say that you get satisfaction. Obviously you feel good, when you help, but I really don't like people telling me how they feel because of what I did, because I just feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. When I grew up, my dad went to the NFL and all that type of stuff. And so, you grow up and, whether I was with friends or a lot of people who I grew up with, it's like you see that some people live differently than, how you might live. And so it's just growing up. It's just like you always want to be able to help either way that you can. Like, that's just how I've always been. And again, it's not even just about money, but it's just I want people to be able to live, their best life. And I can't control what they do with the decision making, but I just want to be able to try to be there to be that voice or to be that friend or to be that brother or to be that son, like whatever it is, to be able to help people live the life that they want to be able to live, because we honestly only get one life. And I'm not trying to change anybody's life. I'm just trying to be able to help them do whatever they dream of doing. And so, that's just something that's always stuck with me. Like, I talked to my mom when I grew up, and I always wanted to be able to help the homeless, and I always wanted to do all these different things. And some things I've done, some things I haven't. But, I think the biggest thing about me is I feel terrible as a person. Sometimes if I drive down the street and I don't give to somebody that's out there and they need help. And, I get it. There was like a, 60 for 60 about people who sometimes make so much money and they don't even need it when they're out there on the street. But for me, it's really just about giving, because, I think the Bible talks about sometimes when you give, it's like you're giving to God. And so it's like I'm not really worried about how people use it. It's just you want to be able to help. And, I don't say that so people can say, oh, he always does that. It's like sometimes I don't. But I also learned, in the Bible, it talks about let your yes be yes and your no be no. And so there's times where I might help people and there's times where I might not. But I try not to beat myself up on the times that I'm not, because, I can't save the world like Jesus did that, but I could be able to help as much as I can and as much as I see fit.
How have you noticed being a professional athlete maybe it's given you a platform or opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have had to help others?
Because I think just being in the NFL, I think it sucks, but it doesn't, because a lot of people won't listen to you unless you're something that they think is big time. And you could be somebody's parent and they might be like, man, they talk about that all the time. Might be a teacher and they're like, bro, you a teacher. It's whatever other people are thinking of. It's not what I'm thinking of, but because I might be on the TV or because I'm scoring touchdowns or because I know other players on the team that might be pretty famous, everybody's like, oh my gosh. And now it's whatever you say has leadway. And people will listen to anything you say. You can say, man, tell your parents you love them every day. And they, Mom, I love you. Daddy, I love you. You know what I mean? And so, it sucks because, you should be able to listen to whoever, even a janitor. You know what I mean? Even somebody who might not have a job, even if it's somebody on the street. If they're telling you stuff, you should want to be able to always listen, because you can always learn something from everybody. But, sometimes that's not how, this world works. And so for me to be in this situation, I understand that it might be people that look up to me. It might be people that are motivated by me or whatever the case is. But I also know that can change if I say one bad thing or if I do one bad thing. And so I always try to tell myself, just be you. Regardless of what you say or do, people are going to like it or they're not going to like it. But at the end of the day, this is your life, and you're not going to be defined by one moment. And if other people define you, don't define yourself by that. Just keep living, keep learning, and keep enjoying this life, because at the end of the day, nobody else is going to be able to enjoy it for you if you can't enjoy it for yourself.
Tyler, how much and how important is it about you giving that it's more about empowerment, sustainability, the whole concept of teach someone to fish as opposed to give them a fish? How important is that?
Oh, I think it's very important, man, because, I mean, you don't want to be a crutch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to just give people money and then all of a sudden they come back and they're asking for more money and more money. Like, sometimes it's about being able to put them in touch with the right people, like being able to have those right conversations, being able to learn some of the stuff themselves. Sometimes it's just putting them into the doors where they can gather all the information and they can go get it on their own. I think it's very important just for them to be able to learn that, and for you to be able to know that as well, because sometimes you can give to somebody and then you get mad that they don't do it the way that you think that they were supposed to do it. So like, it teaches you that you got to learn how to give and take a step back and not control how they use, or if they even use it the way that you should, because the way that I see stuff is different than the way that they see stuff, right? So I think it's just about being able to find the best way to help them, listening first, seeing what they're trying to accomplish, what it is that they're trying to do, and then being able to try to help out as much as you can without you feeling obligated, because this is a choice that you're making by helping somebody. You don't have to feel obligation or pressure to always try to help somebody or anything like that.
On the Tulsa, how did that touch you as well, given the history, what happened in Tulsa?
Man, I tell you what, I dang near probably cried or had tears when I was interviewing Mother Fletcher. And man, that was just one of like a surreal moment, because it was like she was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was a little kid. And just when I was asking her questions, just kind of hearing the answers and stuff, it made everything even more real. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about trauma now, and you talking about the trauma that she had as a little kid and the trauma that the other believers had growing up. Like, man, that's tough. And to know that they experienced it. And one of the things that stuck with me was she had said even when she comes back to Tulsa and she goes to sleep, she was talking about how she still like thinks about what happened. And it was like she still kind of like, when she hear noises, like she kind of like, you know, would freak out a little bit. And it was that stuck with me, because I'm like, that was 100 years ago. And so just being able to hear that, and just being able to see like what we've become as a city of Tulsa, and what just the state of Oklahoma has become, the fact that we still haven't been able to even talk about it and say that we did wrong and we should pay these people back. Like, we should do this, we should do that. But instead, like, we built a highway, you know what I mean? And we cut the blocks of how many it used to be to now it's only like 1.5 blocks. And so it's just kind of like, there's so much stuff that needs to be done. But I'm just really thankful to be in this situation, to stand up here, to shed light on it, and not only to just shed light on it, but to try to find different ways just to be able to make a difference as much as we can.
Sorry to ask a mundane football question, but is Geno as accurate as any passer you've ever been around, just from a pure passing standpoint?
I'm just a player. You're watching. You tell me. I mean, I seen so much accuracy with Geno when I was on the other side at K-State playing against West Virginia. I mean, you know, we talking about when they played Baylor and it was like 71-63. I mean, I think Geno's an awesome quarterback. You know, I think he's super accurate. But, you know, when you talk about accuracy, that's something that you always work on. And, I mean, like, this dude is always learning. He's always coming in. Like, I'm telling you, this dude's mindset is different. And, I mean, even when we played a video game, it's like you better be on your P's and Q's. Otherwise, y'all going to have a bad time playing with each other. But, I mean, I just think he demands the best and he demands greatness. And if he demands it from other people, then you best believe he's going to demand it for himself. And so I think he's been doing really good, man. But, you know, it's not good enough. Like, nothing's going to be good enough. Like, he's going to keep grinding. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. Like, yeah, it's good that, you know, people are starting to see it and stuff like that. But, I mean, he was doing good and working when nobody's seen it. And so, I mean, as long as his immediate people see it, as long as we see it in-house, I mean, that's all that really matters.
DK was in here talking about your route running ability and how impressed he is with it. To you, what makes a good route runner? What goes into being good at that part of the job?
I mean, I think when you talk about route running, I always go back to adaptability, because when we talk about coming into the NFL, not everybody gets a chance to be able to run routes based off of the systems that you're in, because some systems tell you that you got to hurry up and get to this spot and turn around so the ball can come, and some other offenses allow you to have more freedom to be able to like freak it a little bit and do certain stuff. And so, that a lot of that goes to Shane being able to give me a little bit more freedom, allowing me to get on the same page with Geno about how I see certain routes, how I feel about running certain routes. And a lot of it is also based off of what you see in film. When I watch film, like I'm not trying to tell everybody how I watch film so people can think about it, but it's like when you watch film, you see people's strengths, you see people's weaknesses, and you just try to figure out what do you want to exploit. Like, what is it about your game that you want to be able to use against them? So you go into one game, you might not have to do any releases. You're just like, I just got to win at the top. You go into another game and you know that the way that you win this game is for releases. Other games you go into, it's route running. Like some games you go into, like, okay, this game is about me just sitting in the zones. And so a lot of it is just about understanding when you're going to be able to need the certain tools to be able to run certain routes. Because again, some people, they're really good when you just run like really good routes. And so you don't need to run routes. Some games you need to weave. Some games you run straight stem. You know what I mean? So it's all dependent on who you're going to go against and seeing what they're good at.
If you had to describe the season Geno's having with one word, what would you pick?
It's a lot of one words that you can say, but I'll probably say remarkable.
Why?
Don't ask me to spell it.
Why? Why that one?
I don't know. It's just you told me to pick a word. Well, I think I would just say it's remarkable just because we always talk about it, when I come up here, but like, can you imagine like in this day and age, like back in the day, like when my dad and uncle played, like you had to wait your turn. You know what I mean? And now we're getting into the age where it's like, if I'm not playing right now, I'm leaving. Like I got to go somewhere else. Like, and just to be able to see how Geno's career has been, it's like, he could have easily been like, man, I'm out. Like, trade me. Send me this place. Send me this place. Like, I know I could play here. But, he stayed patient. And that's something that we miss in this day and age is just patience. Being able to continue to put in the work. It sounds so cliche, but it's like you can also learn from even the people in front of you. And imagine how much better you can be when you just wait your turn. Like, we talk about a bunch of quarterbacks. They didn't come in right away and just ball out. Like, there's some quarterbacks who are greats that had to sit there and wait their turn. You know what I mean? Like, Aaron Rodgers had to wait, and then when they let Brett Favre go, he got to go. Pat Mahomes, he's been great, but they started with Alex Smith first. And so, when you look at Geno's career, like, there's been quarterbacks that's been in front of him, but it's never stopped him from working. And it's never stopped him from learning. And he came here, they gave him an opportunity. And, when you talk about, if you let me say more than one word, I would have been good. But, he's probably the person that if you say take advantage of an opportunity, who would you say that fits? I would say Geno.
Anything surprise you about his season?
His season? Oh, no. I don't think anything surprised me from his season. I've played against him, and he's been here for a couple of years to where we knew what he could do. We've seen what he could do, and it was more so just about, is he going to get his opportunity or his chance? And once he got it, everybody else was able to see it. But from the outside world, they don't see what Geno does every single day. They don't see the work he puts in every single day, the chemistry that we build and work on every single day. Like, that's the stuff that they don't never get to see because they're not in-house like we are. And so when he got that chance, we all bought in and we all did what needed to be done. We worked on the chemistry. We worked on the film studying. We had that communication because communication is key. Without communication, a lot of this stuff doesn't go anywhere. We got to understand how each other think. We got to understand what we see on the field, like how we're going to run certain routes, like we said. And we're getting better at doing that each and every week. And Geno's trusting us, making tough throws. Like, these are tough throws where if we don't catch, who knows what's going to happen. And so it's like he's trusting us with these throws, and right now we're making them.
Yeah,
Yeah, appreciate it.